Welcome back to the Jumplify Labs podcast, the show for founders who want growth without the guesswork. Here we talk about the systems driving predictable growth. And today's guest has created something that companies are calling their secret backdoor to elite veteran talent. No per hire fees, vetted candidates delivered on a weekly basis, and a human led process that solves a real hiring bottleneck. George Bernloehr, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jay. Happy to be here and anxious to talk a little bit more about Military Talent Pipeline and our networking process for military connected talent.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in. So, for anyone that's new to your world, what problem does military talent pipeline solve on both ends for both the veteran and the
Yeah, absolutely. So what we focus on is getting people past the applicant tracking systems, the obstacles and barriers they face when just trying to get to the interview stage with companies that align with where they want to be and what they want to do. I've got 25 years experience, talent acquisition in the veteran space. So I'm staying in that space with Military Talent Pipeline, helping transitioning military professionals, veterans with industry experience, men and women who serve in the Guard and Reserve, and military spouses that are looking for new career opportunities. Anyone who's gone through a TAP process or other resources when it comes to the job search, what's the point of emphasis that's always made? Networking. Networking is probably what's going to get you to the interview. That's what's going to get you the job that you're looking for. No matter how many applications you fill out on a company's website, it's that whole networking piece that makes the difference. That's the foundation of what we do here. We network on behalf of these individuals to get them to the interview stage. And the neat thing on the company side is we are a cost effective alternative to a traditional staffing agency model, contract recruiters that the company might bring on board to source, you know, top tier talent, military connected talent for their roles. So we provided a similar resource, but for a simple subscription based model for the company. So anyone who's looking for ROI when it comes to the tools and resources they use to help them with their staffing needs, this is what we deliver in addition to that top tier talent.
and this is super important for veterans, particularly the military, because when we're in the military, we're taught one thing, we stay in our lane. We also use jargon that nobody else is familiar with. So then when you introduce that networking piece, there is that first that internal transition to just become someone who can network effectively just by removing the jargon. But it's really just a whole new skill set that people have to learn when we're so confined in just one swim lane when we're in the military. What actually drove you to getting into this industry and starting your business? What was the biggest drive?
So going all the way back from my transition from the Navy, I had a very rewarding career with a focus on naval aviation maintenance. And as rewarding as it was, I wanted to take advantage of my move from the Navy to career pivot, learn something new, do something different. And I basically discovered talent acquisition and recruiting. And the more I researched, the more I learned, the more intrigued I became. I was fortunate enough to launch a career with no recruiting experience that focused on helping men and women transitioning from the military into the civilian workforce. At the time, it was a pretty niche recruiting role. It was mostly focusing on engineering management, technical management, career opportunities. But as I grew my career in talent acquisition, I had the great opportunity to lead military hiring programs for two very large companies. First was Eaton Corporation, where I helped design, implement, then lead their military hiring program. And then after doing that for a few years, I moved over to Booz Allen Hamilton, where I took over their military hiring program. A big part of what we did at Booz Allen to, let folks know about the organization outside of the DC metro area. We attended multiple job fairs across the country, get our face out there, let people know about the career opportunities that were available. And one of the things that I picked up on as we followed up with individuals is oftentimes we would hear, "Hey, you're the only one who's reached out to us after this event." Or I talked to several companies at the event, great opportunities. They directed us to their career page to apply. We went, applied, and no response. So I saw that there was a need, and I'm a tech guy, engineering undergraduate degree. I rely on technology, but I saw, hey, there was a need to put the human element back in this whole process and reconnect people to advance things. It opens up opportunities for job seekers that are looking for new careers with companies. And it gets the company, a talent acquisition professional and recruiter back on track and engaging, with people as well, as opposed to totally relying on the technology piece to do the matching and the work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no mistake. There is no replacement for the human element. I've said that multiple times on the show. Even though we are an AI growth partner, we help our partners get calls booked, speak to more people. At the end of the day, you still need to press the flesh, meet people, have them experience who you are. A big
Right.
part of what you
Absolutely, and if I could add to that real quick, Jay, I'm not an anti-AI, kind of guy. I use it myself, just like you, and I encourage, especially that transitioning military professional, use the AI tools and resources to help you better fine tune that resume, and so forth. Help you tailor it, for when you go in and you do apply. There's definitely room for both AI as well as again the human element to function, and create that win-win scenario.
absolutely. So here's an interesting, I guess, dilemma here though, because you have the applicants who are using AI, and then you also have the employers who are also using AI because they have the ATS. You help people get past the ATS. A big part of it is networking, which you've already mentioned. But what does it actually look like in practice for the people that you're helping?
Yeah. So, what most companies that are using this typically are larger with volume hiring needs. So, oftentimes they have a candidate profile that they'll focus on to meet multiple positions that they have available. So, the talent acquisition professionals, when the companies will usually tell us, hey, we have these roles and we need this particular skill set. And if you can go out and find that skill set and deliver it, vet them for location, timing, the type of opportunity, et cetera, that'll help them out tremendously. And then for the job seeker, itself, Jay, you hear it over and over again. I've done 100 apps. I've done almost 1,000 applications and just haven't gotten any or gotten little, responses. Well, our focus is connect with that transitioning military professional, learn everything that's important to them as far as their transition plans and preferences, and then work to make the matches. And when we do, update them on, hey, here's a company that has an opportunity that fits what you're looking for. Do you want us to hand off your resume? Absolutely. The commitment that we get from the company is if we hand off the resume, then they're going to actually reach out, start that conversation, start the screen, start the interview process, with the folks that we're handing off.
Mm, very cool. Yeah, so it's mostly hands off, not completely hands off, but you're doing a lot of the legwork at just bridging the handshake moment. You're accelerating that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the usually the company just takes the ball and runs with it from there once we've done the handoff. But we work with them, especially early on in the process, to get that commitment. Hey, we're not going to dump 20 or 30 resumes in your lap in a day. We're not shotgunning stuff, hoping that maybe one in there sticks. We're going through a vetting process and giving you interview ready candidates for the roles that you have available. And we vetted for location, opportunity, company fit. Take the ball, run with it, engage these folks. You'll end up getting a great hire as a result.
And what are the employers consistently saying about the veterans you send them?
Well, before you get to that stage, sometimes there's a little. They're used to the traditional staffing agency where it's like no fee or anything unless there's a hire that's made. So sometimes getting them past the subscription model is a little bit of a challenge, and setting their expectations as well is, hey, unlike we're not going to send you a dozen resumes. Hopefully, one will fit, and then you can move forward with that individual. Our goal is to send you folks that are on target that are going to fit. Each person that we send you should result in an interview. And of course, if nobody shoots themselves in the foot and everything goes great, that's gonna result in a hire for you. So on average, we usually send 1 to 3 a week. Sometimes there's a little bit of a spike depending on the job fair that we've attended, and so forth, and the candidate base that's available there. But on average, it's 1 to 3 a week, a very manageable flow of candidates. But these 1 to 3 are all again vetted on target, great potential hires, and most of the companies are very happy with that. With
Yeah, and you've been at this now for 25 years. What was maybe not the first, but what's the more something that stands out as an obstacle that military pipeline has had to overcome? What did you do to solve it? Something that other people can learn from.
when it comes to reaching out to companies, some of the first resistance or pushback that you get is, hey, we're not currently working with third party agencies. Being able to differentiate us from the other organizations and the cost that's associated with it can be a little bit of a hurdle. But then once companies understand the cost as well as the ROI, then it's usually not that big, of an issue. And that opens up the networking, opportunity for us. The more companies we get on board, the better it is for the job seekers. That's more opportunities for military connected talent to move forward with. And more top tier talent that companies can tap into to meet their staffing needs.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, sometimes the other piece is, there are many companies out there where they have recruiters in place that focus on military talent, and sometimes there's a little concern in terms of, hey, this is the job that I do, for the company when we reach out and we, talk about our service for them. And, what we try to explain is, we're not looking to replace you. We're looking to enhance the work that you're doing if you're focused on, hiring military connected talent for your company. So we can be one of the tools in their toolbox they use to bring great talent on board.
And this is your human-led service. You're connecting people with people. How do you keep quality high while also prioritizing scaling?
You just have to, well, constant communication. So when we start working with a company, we set up a weekly call. As time goes on, that may throttle back to an every other week or even a once a month call, but we're always looking for feedback. We'll get a profile, and right out of the gates, we want to know as we start to deliver that talent. We're not necessarily tracking hires because there's no fee for hire, but we want that feedback. Are we hitting the mark? Are we putting, the right folks in place for you so that we can be an effective resource? And Jay, most of the time, the feedback has been we're not just meeting the expectations, we're exceeding the expectations of what the companies have in mind. To keep up with the piece, I'm kind of ultra conservative in terms of growth goes, but we are at that point where we're also looking to bring on talent within military talent pipeline to keep up, with the growth. We want to make sure that we have quality results and services for, the candidates that are using us to find new career opportunities and make sure that we're constantly delivering a good flow of talent for the companies that are using us as well.
So, what is the goal then for 2026? I know, of course, we want to help more of our brothers and sisters, but what is maybe some KPIs or some milestones you're looking to achieve in the coming year?
So we're currently a four-person, actually bringing an individual on board. We're a small team, five-person organization, but the goal is to strategically have some talent acquisition professionals placed around the country to make sure that, hey, we're out there. Folks know how to use us as a resource, especially, again, like you said, the brothers and sisters that are looking for new career opportunities. So 2026, my plan is to have a military talent acquisition specialist, a talent acquisition professional located, an individual in the Southeast, Mid Atlantic, the Midwest, the Northeast, the South Central part of the country, the Mountain States, Southern California, Seattle, Tacoma area. So we have pretty much the country covered. Still working on how to serve those OCONUS folks as well. Haven't quite finished off the plan as to how we can better serve individuals in the Pac Rim as well as the European theater as well as the Middle East as far as individuals that are there. And then the goal is hopefully by the end of 2026 to have probably somewhere in the range of six or so military talent acquisition consultants on board that work with the companies closely to meet their staffing needs, but to continue to grow our footprint and grow the company as well.
Yeah, outstanding. And for people that are transitioning, close to transitioning, or maybe even people that are thinking about life after the military, how soon should they how soon should they possibly start the engagement working with you?
When they're ready. So that's easy, right? So I have several folks in our pipeline that have close to 2 years to go before they get out. But when they learn about my experience, the 25 years experience that I have in talent acquisition, they're initially signing up more or less for a coaching, type process. I'm here, I'm able to help coach them through their transition until they get to that stage where they're ready to maybe pursue a skill bridge opportunity or, start interviewing for the direct hire process. So whenever they're ready, we're here to help.
Yeah, and then I wanted you to touch base on that because people that are transitioning, you don't want to wait till it's too late. You want to dig your well before you're thirsty, and getting some professional help to do to do this transition, which has such a huge impact in just our financial lives, but our mental well being. Doing the work, doing work for a company you enjoy to be part of their team takes up 8 or so hours of our day every single day. It's a huge pivotal moment for a lot of people. I know it was like
Absolutely.
me as well. When I transitioned out of the military in 2009, I was a bit lost. I ended up just using my GI Bill at the time, and before they rolled out the post 9/11, and I just kind of lingered in school, and I could have really started my career that much sooner. But
Yeah,
if
some individuals are they're in a good space where they have plenty of time to work on their transition plan, but I've definitely even recently there are some folks depending on the command that they're at, the pace of activity, deployment issues, et cetera, where sometimes they're worked right up to their terminal leave and they've gotten, you know, their commands have gotten every ounce of energy and effort they possibly can for them, and they haven't even had time to adequately prepare for that transition. Unfortunately, you do come across those scenarios, but again, we're happy to lean in and help wherever the individual is in that stage of transition.
yes, and for veterans or spouses, anyone listening, what's the easiest first step to be able to plug into your ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you for asking, Jay. So, just miltalent.net is the website. There's a military connection place where you can fill out some basic information about your transition plans and preferences. It sets a foundation to help us out. But we get alerted to every one that gets set, and we reach out typically within 24 hours, one business day from the time that an individual submits that information. But it's quick and easy on a laptop. Somebody can fill that information out in about a minute, 2 minutes with distractions. So it's like I said, it's quick, it's easy, and then we'll be engaged to start that human element, that human outreach and connection, and start having that conversation about the career search.
For sure. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't touch base on the opposite end of the spectrum. What should companies know before deciding if your service is a good fit for their hiring needs?
If the companies that benefit from using us are typically companies that have volume hiring needs. So a smaller company that's experiencing significant growth or a large company that has volume hiring needs. That's really where our ROI can have an impact. And I don't know about you, Jay, but my experience has been no matter how large or profitable the company, their talent acquisition budget always seems to be the tightest, even if they're making billions. That's a differentiator for us. The cost to use us as a resource is really insignificant when you look at the results and the work that we're going to do on behalf of a company that's looking to use us. So if a company's hiring, they're mapping out a strategic growth plan for 2026, 2027, and beyond, and they have volume hiring needs and they see value in what military connected talent can bring to their organization. Doesn't matter what the industry is, we bring that talent, we bring that value. Military service members are adaptable, they can fit into almost any organization and they learn fast. In fact, most people when they talk about military talent, they gravitate toward the leadership skills, which they should. I mean, the military is a leadership laboratory and you take on those responsibilities at a very young age at a rapid pace. But you also are in an environment where your learning agility is just fine tuned. And that's the other piece that I put a heavy point of emphasis on when I'm talking to companies about military connected talent, not just their leadership skills, but their learning agility, the adaptability, the mission focus, all the positive attributes that you're looking for in an employee. It doesn't matter if it's healthcare, manufacturing, consulting, military talent can be a great fit.
Absolutely. I'm of course going to just plug that in. You and I are both veterans, but one thing I know about myself that does something I've noticed, I've observed is people say I'm just extremely disciplined. That could be a military thing, maybe just me being obsessive, little OCD, but I'm just super disciplined about the things that I want in my life where I'm addicted to the process. If it's just working out, I'm working out every single day, same time, this amount of time. It is something that I will say I attribute it both to my parents, of course, but also to the military joining at such an early age when I was 18 years old. And that's something that's carried me on through my entire career. Honestly, if I could hire more people that are militant with their discipline, I think I would have had a lot more, of a lot less headache in some previous business ventures. That's for sure. All right.
Gotcha.
So, George, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you so much for the work that you do, continuing to serve. I really appreciate this conversation. I'm sure other veterans would appreciate it as well. If you want to get in touch with George, he shared his links. He shared his website with us a little bit earlier. And if you like more stories like this, definitely tune into the Jumpify Labs podcast for more. My name is Jay. Thanks so much. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate the opportunity, bro.